Let's give it up for Ted, our Canadian trailblazer.
I don't have a speech prepared. They only told me about this today, that I was going to win this award, the Trailblazer Award, and but I thought it was all going to be because of The Apprenticeship of Lenny Kravitz, which was going to be shown tomorrow night. Mordecai Richler was my best friend. I think you all know who he is, don't you?
Yes.
The great Canadian writer. And we came to share a flat, an apartment in London, the two of us, when we were both 25 or 26. And I was directing at the BBC while he stayed at home and wrote. And when I moved in, he was doing the first page of the book, The Apprenticeship of Lenny Kravitz. And he did it for the next 2 years. He slaved over that book. And one night, after I finished shooting, I came home and I said, Mordecai, let's have a gin and tonic. And he said, wait a minute. And he went over to the typewriter and he pulled out a page. And he said, this is the last page of the novel. Here's the rest of the manuscript. And he put it in my lap. So read it. So I sat there and I read the whole 350 pages of the novel, sitting there. I said to him, Mordecai, not only is this the best Canadian novel ever been written, but one day I'm going to go back to Canada and make a film of it. And we laughed uproariously, because of course there was no such thing in Canada. There was no film industry in Canada that would make such a film. But I spent the next 13 years trying to get the money to do it. So I guess I'm a trailblazer in that respect. Getting the money. And there were funny things. My most close thing, I kept pushing into the hands of producers. And I directed a film called Two Gentlemen Sharing, which was about the racial situation in London. And it was accepted at the film festival. I forgot which one. The one in Italy, you know. And the head of AIP, American International Pictures, one of the big distributors, Sam Markoff. I told him, I said, Sam, because he loved my film. He bought the film at the film festival, that one I told you about, and Two Gentlemen Sharing. Then he said, Ted, I love all your films. And I said, listen, I've just got this book that I want to make a film out of it. And I think it's going to make a terrific film. So gave it to him to read. And he read it. And finally, after 12, 13 years, the man, he was one of the heads of one of the biggest distribution companies in Hollywood. So he had all the money. He said, Ted, I love this book. I said, grazie Dio, grazie Dio. He said, and I want to make it. Oh, grazie Dio, grazie Dio. And then, I want to make it. But I hate buts. I hate buts. Buts are never good. But what? I said. He said, but I don't want Lenny to be a Jew. I want him to be a Greek. I said, a Greek? I said, the whole point is that, you know, that the boy comes from a small Jewish enclave in the middle of surrounded by this Catholic metropolis in Montreal. It can't be. And he said, no, I'm not making it if he's not a Greek. And I said, what do you mean, like Dudolopoulos, Karpopoulos? And I said, finally I said, I'm sorry, I can't finally. I said, listen, I told him, listen, the whole point of Lenny Kravitz, he was like Mordecai. Mordecai, when he was a boy in Montreal here, in Saint Street, the Christian kids would dance around him saying, you killed Jesus Christ, you killed Jesus Christ, you. That was kinds of things that Doody would have to accept, and he'd have to see that great cross flashing his Christianity all day long. I said, this is the thing that he had to get around, and that's what makes Doody sympathetic, that he has to fight through all this. But no, he wouldn't budge, and I didn't make the film with him. But, and finally, sorry, is this going on too long? What? Oh, I'm going to do Q&A afterwards? Okay, I'll do all the A now. Anyway, but finally, the film was made because the natives came to save it. The Canadian government set up a committee, the CFDC, the Canadian Film Development Corporation, and my wonderful man Michael Spencer. I gave him the book and the script, which I've written, and he said, I gave you half the money, make it. It's beautiful. And I got the other money from Jerry Snyder, a real estate guy in Montreal here. And that's how I made the film. And if you want to see it, it's the film I made tomorrow night. Big kisses to all of you.
All right, let's hear it again for Ted Kotcheff. Prepare yourselves now for the gorgeous 4K restoration of First Blood.
Had been my agent for many years at William Morrison. He became the president of Warner Brothers. So he called me in and said, listen, I got this. We got this book. And he said, we've had 3 scripts done it. No, none of them are any good. Come on, Ted. Read it and make a film out of it. And that's how I got it.
Sylvester was attached to the movie from the beginning?
Hmm?
Sylvester was attached to the movie from the beginning?
No, I cast him.
Oh, you cast him?
Yes. What happened was that Warner Brothers decided not to do it because they felt that the American audience didn't want to see films about the Vietnam War, which they think is the most colossal military failure in the whole history of the United States. And so my agent said to me, Robert said, listen, Ted, the board of directors don't want to make this film. They think the audience don't want to see anything to do with the Vietnam War. And so, so these two other guys, Andy Vanya and their producers, Andy Vanya and Maria Gassar, and they bought it. It spent a whole year getting the script away from Warner Brothers, because one thing is that even though Warner Brothers weren't going to make a film, they're not going to give the script or the book, because they're not going to make it. But if they give it to somebody else and it becomes a success, they look like idiots. So they just wouldn't. They weren't going to have that nice. But you're not going to get. I said, you're not going to get them to give it the book or the script. They won't do it, even though they don't want to make it. They're not going to let you make it. It'll make them look like idiots if it's a success, which is exactly what happened. But they negotiated, and finally they got the book and the rights to make it. And then they said they said, well, who's going to play the main part, because we need that to sell it abroad and get money from abroad. So I said, I want Sylvester Stallone. And they said, no, you can't have Sylvester Stallone. And just 1 second. And I said, why? And I said, well, he's made 2 films. He made Rocky, two Rockies, hugely successful. But the 4 other films he made were total failures. He made Fist, Nighthawks, Paradise Alley, and Victory. All failed. So the received wisdom in Hollywood at that time was, Sylvester Stallone only works in Rocky. And I said, no, I won't accept that. This guy is perfect. He's got the strength, and there's something very touching about him. I feel deep feeling, and I think he's perfect for the part. And finally they agreed. And in all the years that so I phoned his agent and I said let him read the script. In all my whole life as a director, usually when I submit a script to a star, you might get an answer in 2 months. It's usually 3 months. The first time I send him the script on a Thursday night. Friday morning, he phones me. I love this script. I want to do it. I couldn't hardly believe it. He said, but can I? So I got one thing. I understand that you're going to do a rewrite of the script. And I said, yes. He says, I would like to participate in the rewrite with you. I said, I'd love you to. And we worked together on the final draft of the script.
I have another question for you. After that, like the ending of that movie, it's not the ending in the book, and it's not the ending the studio wants to do.
Well, you know, originally, this book was seen as a suicide mission. The book is a suicide mission. And when we did the first script, the very first script, he, at the very end, at the last scene there where and there's his commanding officers there, and he says to him, I know you have a gun underneath that jacket. Pull it out. You created me. Now you got to kill me. And Richard Crenna, the commanding officer, pulls out a gun. He can't kill his man, but Rambo reaches out, Harry, and blows himself away. That was the first ending. And then when we shot that scene with him shooting himself, and that whole thing at the end when he's crying, that whole thing. And then I shot it, and he gave a wonderful performance and everything. And then Sylvester Stallone got up and said, Ted, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, sure. What? He said, listen, he said, this poor guy, this character, the cops, the police are after him. He's chased by dogs. He leaps off cliffs and falls into trees. He gets shot in the arm. He sews them up. And he says, and now we're going to kill him? He said, Ted, the audience is really going to hate us. They really are. They're going to hate us. And I said, you know, I've been thinking similarly on the same lines for other reasons. I said, they treat you as an enemy. They treat you as an enemy, and then you practically destroy the town because destroy that town because you've been trained how to do that in Vietnam, to go into a village and reduce it to nothing. And I said, but if you die, then they win. Nasty people win. So I said, I've been thinking like that. So listen, I agree with you. What I'm going to do is, right now, I'm going to shoot a different ending. Right now. And I said, here's what I'm going to do, Sylvester. I'm going to shoot. We'll cut away, just as we did here. Cut away before he pulls the gun out, and we'll cut outside, and you'll come out with your commanding officer and some state troopers, and then the camera's going to fall down because it's a crane shot. He's going to look off to the right, and we're going to pan over it. It's an ambulance, which is it's an ambulance, and the sheriff that you shot is not dead. He's being loaded. He's still alive, and then he goes down the street with the whole town. Ted said and Sylvester said, Ted, you're a bloody genius. That's great. So I'm lining it up, and then the two producers came over. What are you doing, Kotcheff? I said, I'm shooting an alternate ending. An alternate ending? We always agreed this was a suicide mission. Anyway, you're over budget, over schedule. Now get out of here. I said, you don't know Ted Kotcheff. I don't take shit from any producers. Get out of here. I'm going to do this. And I tell you something else. When you get this film, we didn't have an American distributor. When you get an American distributor, I bet you anything, they'll want a happy ending. And if I shoot it now, you won't have to come back here in 3 months. I have to do it and at a great expense and do a new ending then, because I promise you, the American distributor won't live with that ending, or he commits suicide. And anyway, I kicked it out, and I shot that ending. Well, you saw the ending. That's the ending I shot. And any rate, but we left the suicide ending in, where Rambo commits suicide. And then the picture was picked up by Orion Pictures. Mike Medavoy was the head of it, whom I knew as well. And Mike Medavoy said, "This is one of the great action films we've ever seen, but I hate the ending." And I said, "Oh, my prophetic soul." I didn't tell him anything. And they said, and he says, "I want you to do new ending." And the two producers, they stuck, no, this is a suicide mission. The whole point is the way we maltreat Vietnam veterans. And that's got the whole point of it. But no, we won't change it. And they argued back and forth quite vociferously. I said nothing. And finally, they decided to have a test screening. You know what I mean? Like, and they got, and they did it. We did it in Las Vegas. They have a 300 theater like this with 300 people, and they loved the They loved the picture. They were yelling, "Rambo! Oh, come on, that's it, Rambo! Oh, look out! The sheriff's behind you, Rambo!" They were yelling at the screen, directing him, and they just loved the picture. And then he commits suicide. You could have heard a pin drop in the theater, and a voice came out of the theater. If the director of this film is sitting in the theater, let's string him up from the nearest lamppost for killing Rambo. And the other voice said, "Yeah, I agree. I said to my wife, let's get the hell out of here." So, and then of course they looked at all the cards, because each person submitted a card, and they all said the same thing. "This is the best action film I ever seen, but what a horrible ending." And that one, "This is the best picture I've ever seen. How could you kill Rambo?" And so much, 300 cards that were there were the same. So I saw the look on the face of the two producers, consternation in their faces. I said, "Boys, don't worry. In my back pocket, I happen to have this other ending." I said, "Okay, put it in the picture." And that's what you see there.